Hey grad girls, today we're talking about traveling. My favorite subject, your favorite subject according to all my Instagram polls. So we can just jump right in. My entire life I was itching to travel. I didn't get to travel a ton as a kid, mostly because I had one very sick parent, but we still got to do a lot of things locally. Like we covered all the Rocky Mountains and everything we could do that was easier and like shorter term, but I always wanted to go far for a long period of time. And the first chance I had to do this was in high school when I got to go on a mission trip, which is like so cliche, but that's the first time I left the country. That's why I needed a passport. I got to go to Belize for a whole week. It was life-changing, awesome. I was for sure bit by the travel bug during that trip. And then only a couple months after that, I got to go to Canada for over a month to work at a camp, which was also super sick. I was like in this remote inlet off the coast of British Columbia at a camp called Malibu. So it was super remote, super cool. It felt like a different planet, honestly. Not even a different world, just a different planet. It was awesome. And then after that, I went to college, didn't leave the country again until my junior year when I studied abroad in Scotland, which you all know all about because I talk about it 24/7. And when I was in Scotland, I was able to cover like another 10 countries while I was over there. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So being from the US and going to Europe, there's so many differences and a lot of similarities. And I found them all to just be fun and exciting. And I definitely leaned into it. So that would be my number one, I guess, advice. But the cool thing about Europe compared to the US is that like the whole of Europe is pretty much the size of Texas. So you can go a lot of places quickly and pretty cheaply. My friends and I ended up taking buses and things from countries to other countries, and it cost about 10 American dollars occasionally. So it's cool because you can go to a lot of different places for way cheaper, which is why backpacking through Europe is a common thing, especially for young people who are broke, because it's actually not that expensive. So like I said, when I was in Scotland, my best friend and I, we went to like 10 countries together. We did kind of like a backpacking trip. We each had a backpack and then we shared like a small suitcase, and that suitcase was pretty much totally carrying just Maddie's granola bars because she had like major food allergies, so she needed backup meals. But yeah, we did it, and we went to 17 cities. I don't remember because we added a couple, but I'll go through it in a minute. So because of that experience and my research and my other, and talking to other people who've done similar things, I've written up a guide to how to make your backpacking trip as simple and safe and fun and cheap as possible. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is make a plan, which might sound kind of opposite to the lure of, backpacking because it's very spontaneous in a way. But to me, making plans guarantees safety. It makes things more fun, in my opinion, and you can budget more effectively that way. You definitely don't need to plan out every little thing, like hour by hour, but having a general idea of like how you're gonna get from place to place and where you're gonna sleep safely at night is a good start. Doing this before you get from place to place is crucial. The worst thing that can happen is when you arrive in a foreign country you're not familiar with, you don't know anyone there, you don't speak the language, and you don't have Wi-Fi, so you don't know where the heck you are, you don't know where to go, you don't know how to do anything. So my advice would be, when you have Wi-Fi, make plans. Even if you have like hotels and things booked, make sure that you save those on your phone, like in notes or something that doesn't require Wi-Fi to go fetch like your reservation and things like that. Do a little bit of research to plan out like what exactly you want to see from place to place. Like obviously if you're going to Paris, you're probably going to want to go check out the Eiffel Tower. Basically, you don't want to think that you're being cool and spontaneous and fun by not making a plan, and then suddenly you're lost in a big city with no international data and have no idea where you are, how to get where you are. It really ruins the fun. So do a little bit of planning ahead. Like I said before, my friend who I did this with has very serious, deadly food allergies. So another thing we had to plan was finding somewhere she could eat everywhere we went, just in case. So Googling ingredients in restaurants she typically could eat, for instance, McDonald's, just double checking that was going to be safe for her, or finding vegan options in the cities that we were headed to, which honestly is really easy. You just need to do it ahead of time before you don't have data or Wi-Fi. I don't know what this says about me, but safety is the key to a good time. I'm just convinced it's easier to let go and have fun when you feel safe and secure. So with that in mind, a couple of my recommendations are as follows. Fanny packs. If you're British and you just heard me say that, I apologize. Bum bags, I think. If you have some type of purse or backpack that you can like strap to yourself, it's a lot safer because you're gonna notice if somebody's messing around with it, if someone's trying to like break into your backpack, which happens, or pickpocket you or whatever. So wearing a fanny pack's a great idea. Same goes for like pop sockets. If you can somehow have your phone kind of attached to you at all times, that's much safer as well, because people can take it out of your hand, they can take it out of your back pocket. When it's like kind of laced in between your fingers, it's a lot harder to like snatch. So it's a lot harder to drop as well. Plus you can have your phone dangling from the back of your hand while you have something else in your hand. It's like another hand. It's great. Lock up your luggage. If you're staying at a hostel, which I highly recommend, usually there's ways that you can lock up your luggage. If there's not, might be a good reason to like pick a different hostel, just because that's stressful. Like, trusting everyone sharing your room to not take your stuff is a big stretch. So if you can find a hostel where you get your own little cubby with a lock on it, go for that. Or if you can find a hostel where like you and all your friends can just share a room, that's a really great option as well. And that way you don't have to carry all your stuff with you all the time, like your camera and your laptop and your iPad or whatever you have. That's expensive. That would suck to lose. Split up your cash. So keep some of your cash in your pockets, keep some of your cash in your bag, keep some of your cash in your bra. If something happens where you're losing all your money, it'd be nice to have backup money somewhere else, like literally somewhere else on your person. So split it up. Even if you have more than one, like credit card or debit card, maybe try to put those in different places as well. Bring copies of your IDs. So take like photocopies of your passport, of your license, and bring them with you. Let's say you're bopping around Amsterdam and your passport is in your raincoat pocket, and you take your raincoat off and you get to your hostel and you realize you don't have your passport. It's not in your pocket anymore. And you have a flight tomorrow to get back to Scotland. So let's say this happens and you backtrack and you go back to every single place you were at. You were shopping, you were eating, you were sightseeing, and thank God you find your passport on the floor of an Urban Outfitters, okay? Again, this is hypothetical. Let's say you didn't find your passport. If you brought copies of it, you can go to your embassy, you can tell them what happened, and they can like expedite a new one for you. So it's not like you can use that copy to get yourself on a plane, but you can use it to get a replacement that can get you home. So bring copies of your passport and your ID. Nobody wants to think about this worst case scenario if someone takes you and snatches you and kidnaps you and it's like taken, but your dad's not Liam Neeson. Yeah, that would suck. So always share your location with someone back home. I shared my location with my sister, who I would never share my location with otherwise, but I knew that like if something were to happen to me, she knew how to find my friends, and she could see where I was last. And she could also tell my mom, in case my mom was worried about it, without me having to like share my location with my mom. So at one point I was on a train from Vienna to Prague, and my friend Sarah sent me my Snapchat location and was like, "Where are you?" Because it looked like I was just like in the middle of Czech Republic. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "OMG, yeah, I'm fine. I'm on a train." But even she noticed, because she must have opened Snap Maps and was like, "What the heck?" And she knew I was abroad, so she's a homie for checking in. My last advice for your safety is to not make it obvious that you're backpacking or that you don't know where you are or that you're not from there. Obviously, people blend in Europe. The ways you can stand out in a bad way, or if you're making it really obvious that you're checking your maps. If you're carrying all your stuff on you at all times, things like that. We all know what a tourist looks like. So my advice would be to try your best to not look like a tourist. Don't be yelling and speaking English like really, really loudly for everyone on the street to hear. It's just dumb. So try to blend in a little bit. The last thing I want to go over is budgeting, which if you know me personally, you know I'm not the person to go to when it comes to budgeting because I don't know how to budget. I try and I just don't do it. But for some reason when it comes to traveling, I'm like pretty good at it. So if you're budgeting while you're backpacking, it should relieve like quite a bit of stress. Making sure you have enough money to survive and then like backup money if something goes wrong is to me gonna make you have like a much more enjoyable time. Do your research on how expensive things are. For instance, for some reason it costs so much money to stay in Vienna, Austria. Don't know why. And it costs nearly nothing to stay in Brussels, Belgium. So good to know, right? Maybe you stay a little bit longer in Brussels, a little bit less longer in Austria. It's up to you, but do your research. Things change. The tourist economies are constantly fluctuating, so it can look different all the time. After you figure out how much stuff costs, set a budget and stick to it. Try not to get enticed by like, you know, all the things that you see on influencers' Instagrams of like amazing, beautiful places they've stayed. It can get really expensive. So keep in mind you'll probably be eating out for most of your meals as well, which can add up. Maddie and I made it like a fun thing to try to eat at every single McDonald's in every not every McDonald's, eat McDonald's in every country. So that was at least one meal that was like super cheap. Be careful that you're not, you know, dropping $30 on every single meal because that's gonna seriously get expensive. Also keep in mind that a lot of countries charge you for water, so you need to factor that into your budget. I didn't know that, or I knew that, but I didn't know how bad it was gonna be. Basically spending $10 on water every single day kind of sucks. So to me, it's, I'm a big hydrate or dihydrate gal, so it was what it was and I was gonna have to pay for it, but just keep that in mind when you're backpacking. Also be careful because a lot of times alcohol is cheaper than water, which can also get you into trouble. So my hope for all of you is that if backpacking through Europe has been something that you wanted to do, or maybe you had a plan and got cut short because of COVID and you've been getting really excited about it, definitely encourage you to do it and go for it, but try to be smart and wise and mature about it as well. There is nothing like traveling and experiencing other countries. It's like the coolest learning experience you can possibly get into. So I would want you guys to be as present as possible and have the most fun that you possibly can, which requires being an adult and planning ahead. So hopefully this helps you guys out a little bit. If you're interested at all, you can always go watch my vlogs I did from 2019 when I backpacked with Maddie. They're a little bit terrible quality, but it was really fun. And I love rewatching them. And I make my friends rewatch them. And that's another thing you could do while you're backpacking is vlog it so that you can always remember it. I intended on only really watching those for myself, but I think they're fun to watch. It's a great alternative to like actually journaling or carrying and making sure that like every single picture is perfect. Like literally just film the cool stuff you see. That'll be an awesome memory for you to keep for the rest of your life. So happy backpacking. I want to see your vlogs. Good luck.